Hello and welcome to the TrackRTI tutorial. The purpose of this tutorial is to show you how to use the TrackRTI application to graph RTI data. If you purchase a subscription to the application on the Teachers Pay Teachers website, you will download a link to this page, and within 24 hours of that you should be able to enter your TPT username here and then be able to create a registration for the site. If you go to this page and it hasn't been entered yet, you should get a notice saying to try again later. But it should be in there pretty quickly. All right, so as an example, put that username in, and then a registration form will appear. Put in a username and a password, email address, and your school. When you click on enter, you'll be taken to the main page of the application. All right, here at the top there's some links, but most of the time that you're using the application you'll be on this page right here. This area here is where your graphs will appear. We haven't created a graph yet, so it's just that empty grid. Down here is a search form, which will come in handy when you have a lot of students entered into the system. I can show you that a little bit later. This is a link to reset the search. This is a link to create a new chart. That's the first thing we're going to do. This link is a note about how to edit data points in the chart. Down here is a table. Well, this is just a table heading right now because there's no data entered yet. That would give you information about the chart that you're currently viewing. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is create a new chart. The first question it asks is, how many data points are you going to have total? It can be an estimate because you can adjust it later. You can put up to 50. I'm going to use 30. 50 is a little crowded, but it should fit. How many data points would you like to enter at this time? I'm going to enter 10. You can enter any number from 1 to 50. The title that I'm going to use is the title for the chart that will appear at the top. We call it Reading Progress 2013. All right, now if I had an account with a lot of students' names entered, I would be able, and if this was for an existing student, I would be able to pick the name from here. Since I don't have any students entered yet, I'm going to add a new student. And that's going to take me to the second step of creating a chart. I need a label for the x-axis. That is the horizontal axis at the bottom. I'm going to call that Reading Probe Dates because that's going to show the date of each assessment. All right, I'm going to make up some data just as an example. And I can put in a second set of data for errors. I'm going to do that. Alright, and this is the third and the last phase of making a chart. I need to enter the dates that correspond with those data points. So I'm just going to pick every Monday and Friday starting with June 3rd. Alright, there's 10. If I clicked on one by mistake, just click on it again and it goes away. Alright, so there are the dates. My aim line is going to start at 50. That's the baseline. And my goal is going to be 150. The y-axis I'm going to call words per minute. Alright, now I'm going to assign this chart a group and also an assessment. One of the reasons for that is when students are, all the students that are assigned to a particular group and a particular assessment, the application will average the scores. All the scores that are entered on the same day will be averaged together. And then I can display a class average to compare a student's progress to the class average. Alright, so I'm going to create a new group and just call it reading. And a new assessment, call it reading fluency. Okay, so there's the chart that I've created. Up at the top here, you will see all the students' names. There's the title of the chart itself. Down here in this search form, I should now have one group, one assessment name, and one student. Alright, so it's not tremendously useful yet because I don't have one student in there. But if I have a lot of students in a lot of different groups taking a lot of different assessments, I can search that group using this form so that only those students will show up here at the top. So the information that the table is showing here, the date the chart was created, the title, name of the group, name of the student, name of the assessment. This is a data report which shows up down here. It gives a little synopsis of the data. I only have one phase in my data because I haven't designated a phase change. If I want to add a data point or a batch of data points, I can use this form. If I want to change the goal, if the student is predicted to exceed the goal before the 30 assessments are done, I might want to adjust the goal upward. And here it is showing that based on the data that has been entered so far, he's predicted to reach the goal at data point 26. So this would be a possibility. Raising the goal would be a possibility. Sample size is 30. That's also editable. This is a link to print the chart. It converts the chart to an image. It has a link to print it. If you're using Internet Explorer, it will just print directly, but if you're using a different browser, it will come up in a new window. This is a link to delete the chart. If I wanted to delete it, if I clicked on yes, it would be deleted. You don't want to do that. Alright, so let's look at some of the different views that you have for the chart. The first thing you see when you mouse over the name is the title of the chart is at the top. The next link, if I clicked on that, it would show the group average. It's not going to show group average right now because there's only one student in the group. But if there were other students and these dates matched, if the group name matched and the assessment name matched and the assessments were, the data was entered on the same date, it would show a data line here showing the class average that I could compare George's progress to. This link is to add the aim line. This link will show a single trend line. This link will show a unique trend line for each phase. I haven't designated a phase change. I can do that right now to show you how that works. So let's say I want to designate this data point here as the time when an intervention took place, or there was some sort of change in instruction, some change in approach. So if I click on that data point, I have a few options here. I can delete it, not what I want to do right now. I could change the value of it. I could designate it as a phase change, or I could remove the phase change designation. All right, so I'm going to designate it as a phase change, and now it's marked with that star. So I know that a phase change took place there. And now if I click on the unique trend line for each phase, I get a unique trend line for this first phase and a unique trend line for the second phase. All right, the extrapolated view is kind of a mathematical prediction of so it's kind of a mathematical prediction of how the student would perform based on the data that's been entered so far. So what this is predicting is that George would reach his goal here at the 26th data point. The more obviously the more data you have in here, the more meaningful that's going to be. So you have to use some judgment, but it's kind of interesting to look at it. If you had some more data in here, about 13 data points is considered significant. And if it was predicting that he was going to reach the goal before you got to the end, you might want to up the goal. So let's say if we tried 165. Okay, now that's about right. It's saying that he's going to reach the goal on the last assessment, which works out well. All right, this last link here is to email the chart. Whatever the chart looks like on the page, if it looks like this or it looks like this, that is what's going to be, that's what it's going to look like in the email. All right, so I will send this to myself. Please don't send me emails. And we'll see if it shows up in my inbox. Let's give it a minute. Okay. All right, at this point, I'm going to log into another account that has more students entered so I can show you some other things. I'm going to pause the video for a minute. Okay, I'm logged into the other account. Can show you that the chart has come through my email, and there it is. Okay. Now, there are 8 students entered into this account. Let me just show you what happens if you get more students. If you get too many names up here, if they're not going to fit on, I mean, I don't have that many that they don't fit in, but I can set this to how many names I want to appear across the top. The default is 15, so if you had more than 15, it would do the same thing on its own. I'm going to set it to 5. All right, so you see when I have more names than the 5 names, you get these arrows. And if I want to get to more names, I need to click the right arrow to go this way, and left arrow goes back. All right, so I'm just going to put that back to the, the default 15. Okay, now I have 2 groups. So if I wanted to see just the students who are in the math skills group, I can do that. If I wanted to see just the students who are in the group that's called first period, and only the ones that are taking a certain assessment, I only have one right here, but I can search that way also. So all the students that I'm looking up here are in the same group and taking the same assessment. Let's take a look at let's see. Adding some data points to this chart. Let's say I want to add 2 data points. So I click on the add data link. It asks me how many data points I want to add. Put 2 in there. This chart doesn't have an error line, so it's I'm just going to have a form here for entering the data points themselves. Let's put in 78 and 92. And actually, let me close this. I want to make sure the dates that I put in here are come after this last date. So that's August 9th. So put in 2. Let's say say the 12th and the 19th. All right, so it's added a data point for the 12th and the 19th. So of course that's going to change. It could change the predicted success point. So you look at the extrapolated view again. This is where this red bow tie here is for the success point, the predicted success point. Okay. I think that pretty much covers it. Although I'm sure I'm forgetting something. If you have questions, I've created a message board. If you want to create a message, click on this link, enter it, and I will be able to answer questions that way. You could also send an email. Probably this way is probably quicker. So if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Thank you for listening, and I hope you find it useful.